So you're playing a WuWa, or at least you will be whenever the update is done, and you are trying to build Sanhua. Now, Sanhua is one of the 4-star characters on this upcoming banner, or current banner, depending on when you're watching this video. So in this video, we're going to look at the basics of Sanhua. Now, I run an on-field damage Sanhua, and I am going to talk about how to build a support one as well. But first, we're going to look at the current build of my Sanhua. She is level 60 out of 60. I can take her to 70 out of 70. Attack 1200, energy regen 130. Crit split 52.3 over 219.2. For weapon, she is running a level 60 Emerald of Genesis. Again, I can take this up to 70. For echoes, she is doing a 5-piece Freezing Frost, and her main one is Lampalumen Myriad. I'm just going to call him LM from here on out because I don't know if I can say that again correctly. I don't even know if I said it correctly the first time. For her Forte skill, levels 4, 4, 4, 4, 1. I need to get up her intro skill a little bit more. She is RC3. And real quick, we're gonna run through these because it changes a little bit of stuff. Her RC1 gives her a 15% crit rate buff after you've used basic attack 5. So we wanna make sure that we weave in basic attacks to keep that crit rate up. Number 2, stamina cost decrease of her heavy attack detonate and a little bit of interruption resistance. Number 3, damage is increased to enemies lower than 70 HP. I do hope that on this next banner, while I'm pulling for Jihnsi, I can get C6 or RC6. So now we're gonna go look at how her kit works. So in essence, in a basic explanation, the way that her kit works is that her intro skill, her burst, and her skill all make what I'm calling ice constructs or glacial constructs. When you do a heavy attack, a certain kind of heavy attack, you detonate them doing a lot of damage, doing a lot of instances of damage to anything within its range. But we're gonna look more into that. So her normal attacks are going to be fairly normal, where she is going to do glacio damage to enemies. We want to make sure that we are doing we want to make sure that we're doing basic attack 5 to get that increase in crit rate. Now, you notice that down here above her HP with her Forte gauge, there's a tiny little slot that is light blue. Whenever you hold down her heavy attack, you're gonna see this thing start moving. Once it gets to the light blue areas, if you release it there, she is going to do a different kind of heavy attack than anywhere else on the bar. If you do it outside of the bar, if you do it outside of that little blue spot, it is going to do like a flurry attack. If you do it within that bar inside the blue spot, it is going to do the detonate. If you have any glacio constructs on the field, it will make them explode, dealing AoE damage. Now, that is a tiny, tiny area. So how do we make that area bigger and easy to hit whenever we're doing our heavy attack? Well, if we use her skill, we are going to do an instance of glacio damage as well as making one of those glacio constructs. And you notice that our bar down here where the light blue is has gotten bigger, meaning it's easier to hit and easier to detonate. If we use her burst, we're going to do another much bigger instance of glacio damage, doing a lot of damage, as you can see. And then the bar is going to get even bigger. You can have you can have 3 glacio constructs. If we use her intro skill as well, whenever she takes the field hitting the enemy, she is going to create a glacio construct. So we can get 1 from her intro skill, 1 from her normal skill, and 1 from her burst. And all 3 of them can exist at the same time, and we can detonate all 3 at the same time. So the way that her playstyle generally works, from what I've seen doing damage with her doing an on-field damage Sanhua, is that we want to use all of these methods to get as many glacio constructs on the field, touching or being near as many enemies as possible, so that way we can then detonate all of them at once, doing a ton of damage. Now, just doing her burst does a lot of damage, as you can see without me like running through my whole rotation and getting supports. She's still hitting like 12k or 15k or 18k, depending on when I do it. Her skill is also hitting like 10 or 12k at some points in here too, which is really, really good. Now, because of that RC1, we do want to weave in those normal attacks to get the increase in crit rate, allowing me to invest more into her crit damage. I do want to talk about her outro skill first. Now, her outro skill is going to give the oncoming resonator a basic attack buff. In this team that I'm currently using with Sanhua Yang and Baiji, It doesn't do a ton. Yes, Yang can appreciate the basic attack damage, but it doesn't do like a ton, right? Yang's on there to give energy to Sanhua so that way can use her burst more often. So Yang is more or less supporting Sanhua with her Echo set and with her outro skill. Baiji is also supporting the Sanhua with her Echo skill or with her Echo set and her outro skill. So this is definitely a Sanhua on-field damage team. If we were to use her in a supporting role, she goes really good with a character like Encore. Encore uses her basic and heavy attacks a lot. So if you're running Sanhua in a support role, pairing her with Encore is really good right now. I did say that she is running a 5-piece Freezing Frost. This is going to be her on-field damage dealing set, with the main one being LM. Now, the way that LM works is that after you use LM and you run through their whole kind of their whole, hitting queue over and over again, they're going to give Glacio damage bonus to Sanhua, and then from her 5-piece set, she's going to be getting even more Glacio damage bonus. If we were to be running her with Encore, we would probably be running 5-piece Moonlit Clouds, which is going to give energy to Sanhua. It is going to also buff the incoming character. If we use the Heron as our main one, after you use your Q, it is going to buff the incoming character if you've used your outro skill. So using all 3 of these, being your main Echo being a buffing Echo, your Echo set being a buffing set, and your outro skill being buffing, you're going to give Encore an insane damage bonus by using Sanhua with Encore. For main stats, if you are doing on-field damage, which is what mine are, crit rate or crit damage for your 4 cost, double Glacio damage on your 3 cost, and then attack on your 1 cost. For weapons, I am running Emerald of Genesis, which is the 5-star standard weapon, and on these basics guides, I'm still going to include the 5-star weapons, especially if they're standard, because they're standard, they're not going anywhere, so you should have plenty of chances to get them. As far as other swords, basically every sword in the game, because there's not many right now, is going to either be attack percent or something along those lines. It might be energy regen. I don't know what the paid battle pass or the Pioneer podcast, I don't know what that sword does. I haven't looked at that one. So if that one, I'm assuming that one's either going to be attack percent or energy regen, right? I don't believe it's crit rate. It might be crit rate. I might be wrong, but I don't think so because I think the 5-star is the only crit rate sword right now, unless the signature has it. But there may not be a sword signature out there yet. Anyway, sorry, tangent. Anything that's really going to be good for Sanhua, either give her more energy regen with a passive or a main stat or attack. That's all that you can really do right now if you don't have Emerald of Genesis. If you don't have like Emerald of Genesis. Now that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or somebody else will be sure to answer it. I'll see you in the next one.